Hello everyone, and welcome to Let's Play Metroid 2 Return of Samus. I got bored one day and decided, why the hell not? I've already done Zero Mission, I'm not touching 1, I want to wait until doing this Super Metroid, wait until after this to do Super Metroid, so I figured, why the hell not? Oh, Metroid 2, the black sheep of the series. And why do I say that? Well, for one thing, this game is fairly linear compared to other ones. Also, you might recognize quite a few enemies from Metroid Fusion, I'll get into why that is in a bit. Pretty much our overall goal here is, if you look in the very bottom right, you can see a Metroid icon and the number 39. Our mission here is to eliminate all Metroids on planet SR388. In fact, that's why you might recognize a couple enemies, because Sector 1 in Metroid Fusion is based off this planet. And you might remember from certain other games I've played already that, well, unless this is the first Let's Play of me you're watching, in which case, welcome, where we've already eliminated all the Metroids. So essentially, our mission, destroy all Metroids and try to save the universe. Again. Now, planet SR388 is fairly linear. There's going to be lava and always in your way in some point or another, and how do you cause this lava to go down? Well, in every Metroid, there's a certain... in every area, there's a certain amount of Metroids you need to destroy. If you pause the game, where the Metroid logo is, it'll actually say L-a number, and that's how many are left. By the way, that's lava water I'm jumping into, rather, not lava. They're the exact same color, though. And speaking of color, you might be wondering, Kyle, why is this not in color? Well, for one thing, Metroid 2 is one of those games for the Game Boy created specifically with color schemes for the Super Game Boy on the Super Nintendo. However, I can't emulate that properly, so we have to stick with the original color, and that's a Metroid! I don't even have a nice bit. What? And the Metroids in this game are essentially all evolved, guys. This is the Alpha Metroid. It'll pretty much charge you to attack, and 5 missiles to the face will take it down. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm not sure. Anyway, up here, by the way, there's also some of these in your ship, is a energy and missile recharge station, which you might need if you run low. And this earthquake on screen right now is caused because I destroyed all Metroids in an area. Because, you might have noticed I went to the left in this particular room earlier. So, yeah. To the right would have been lava that I could not have progressed past. Without some sort of cheats, obviously. What was I talking about earlier? Oh, the color. There is actually a fully colorized ROM hack of this, which is actually damn good, but there was some glitches with it when recording, so I had to axe that plan. Also, we're actually introduced to quite a few marvelous things considering Metroid 1 in this game. For one thing, Samus can now aim down, which she wasn't able to do that in Metroid 1 for some reason. And, she can crouch. We'll get into more stuff as we go, obviously. Though, thankfully, unlike Metroid 1 and Metroid Zero Mission, she starts with the long beam, so yay. Although she still doesn't have any of the stuff she had at the end of Metroid 1. Aside from a full energy tank and, well, actually, she had that to begin with. Well, no, actually, in Metroid 1 you started with 30 energy units. And she also has 30 missiles. In fact, I'll get into this bit. Well, first off, this is a save station, by the way. Press start to save. And, yeah. You might know she starts with 30 missiles. The maximum missiles in this game is 250, and this is a 100% guide, so if you're going with it, go ahead. Early game, all I can recommend is follow the obvious path. Watch out for certain enemies, like ones in this room especially. These guys, I think they're called, Mirox or something. They do a good 13 units of damage, which is pretty big at this point in the game, so watch out for that. Luckily, though, no enemies will really cause you much trouble in this game. And that's the lava. You might notice it is the exact same color as the water. That's because of color limitations, honestly. Though, mind you, considering later Game Boy games, they could have distinguished it a little bit. Jesus. But the lava will damage you after a while, so don't go in there, so just progress to the right for a new area. And by the way, that's the only... Back there was like the only real big music track we'll be hearing for a while. Because Metroid 2's soundtrack is rather quiet. Every area has its own little ambient beeps and boops as a song, but the surface of SR388 over there was the only real main track in the game. So prepare to be beyond my voice. Prepare to only hear beeps and boops. Then again, this was 91 Game Boy, which was launch year, I believe, right? Anyway, in this place, you want to gonna head north first because, well, north. Higher up first because, essentially, if you... In this section, you're gonna encounter a lot more Metroids than you did in the earlier area. Not every area only has one. And coming up here will get you some necessary equipment. By the way, I think that enemy right there on screen, I think that's actually called a Probo Scum, but I'll admit, when I first read the name, I read it as something else entirely. Yikes. Also, remember the save point for later. I'll be cutting back here. Anyway, in terms of basic layout of the screen, obviously, you got Samus, the Metroid number, and such. In fact, I will say the screen crunch in this game can be kind of annoying because you don't know what's directly to your left or right. Oh, and also, we got a missile door here, the only actual doors in the game. 5 missiles will open them up, and you can reap what's inside, which is often a power-up, which in this case is the Morph Ball bombs. Go into the Morph Ball mode by pressing down twice, and then press B to lay one. Also, you might notice we don't have any room for energy tanks, because that's right to the left, bottom left. I'll get more into that as we go. And what I just got there was a missile pod. Unlike other games where missile expansions only give you 5 missiles, in this game they give you 10. So there are 22 only in the game. There's also a total of 6 energy tanks in the game, but you can only ever hold 5, so one's just as a bit of a recharge. And also, we're about to get to one of my least favorite parts of the game. See this wall here? You can crawl in it. Or roll. Why can't Metroid crawl? That's one of my big problems with the game. You can't tell where there's invisible passages. I thank Super Metroid for introducing the X-ray scope. And that was an energy tank. E-tank is Mega Man. Essentially, that's an extra 99 units of health. Very useful. In fact, I'll admit, I might seem like I'm wandering a bit or getting confused every now and then. That's because I've only ever played this one specific Metroid game once. The only ones I've done that with are, ironically, the ones that have 2 in the title. This and Prime 2. And we just got the Ice Beam. So now our beam does a bit more damage, and it can freeze enemies. And it also has a really annoying high-pitched sound. Unlike future games where you have all the beams at once, essentially, Metroid 1 and 2... you can only have one beam at a time, so if you would like one specific one, you're going to have to backtrack and go get it again. But I won't be needing to do that, because I can do proficiently with whatever ones they give me. Now, to the right back there was a cavern I could have gone into. There's stuff in there, but I'm waiting until you're supposed to go in there to go in there. That was a bit of a redundant sentence, but I don't care. Also, keep in mind, whenever you see a Metroid shell like that, that essentially means that a Metroid is near. So watch out for that. Anyway, down here, we got this little passageway. And in it is actually our first major power-up, as you can see right there, but I didn't notice it for a good 2 seconds. This is the Spider Ball. By pressing down another time when you're already in Morph Ball mode, Samus's Morph Ball will change color, and you can now roll along walls. And this thing is a nightmare with controlling, because if you just stop for a millisecond, you'll have to readjust your controls for it. The Spider Ball would later return in the Prime series, but it's nowhere near as awesome because you can only roll on specific walls and ceilings that have a specific texture to them. Mind you, that's kind of good, because if you had the ability to roll along any wall in a 3D game, it'd be broken as hell. But yeah, essentially the name of the game, as I mentioned earlier, is Destroying Metroids. I'm actually going to read the game manual story at the beginning of the next part, because that's a good 2 or 3 minutes of stuff, because I won't have much to say about this one. I don't have much experience with it. Thankfully, though, it is very short if you know what you're doing. It's only about 3 hours. In fact, you have to beat it in under 3 hours to get the best ending. And by that, I mean a slightly different ending screen, because that's how Metroid games work. Though thankfully, it doesn't take completion into account. Anyway, I'm heading into this room which I didn't go into earlier, because there's stuff in here now that I can get. And by that, I mean 3 missile pods. Now, there's one in here you're not supposed to be able to get without the spider ball. However, there is a bit of a... I'm not sure if it's a technical oversight or if it's just an overall glitch you can do to get it. It's the one on the very top right that we're about under right now. Right there. If you get hit in the middle of jumping, Samus, for some reason, is able to jump again. It's called a damage jump, I believe. It's very similar to the damage boosts that speedrunners do. As you can see, I'm trying to think about how to get it otherwise now, because I didn't realize that stuff. Actually, I should mention, there is actually a way on emulator to get Metroid 2 Return of Samus in color, but it's surprisingly hard to do. I wasn't able to do it myself. Also, you know what? I say Return of Samus. A lot of people call this game The Return of Samus, but that's not what it's called at all. On the title screen, it plainly says Metroid 2 Return of Samus. Which means she probably died off-screen and came back to life. And now we're heading back to that, save point I mentioned earlier. Why? Because it saves me a good 2 minutes. I know, Metroid games are not something I really cut in often, but I kinda need it for this one. Because I'll admit, I'm using a guide for this one. As I mentioned earlier, this is one I've only played once time before. In fact, this is the only Metroid game I technically don't own yet. I have a copy on the way, though. But in fact, by the time you see it, I should probably have it. Just for information, today is June 24th, 2014. Anyway, you might have heard a very dull beeping sound right there. That is actually your energy low sound. Energy low. That means that your life is very low and you might want to keep an eye on it. Thankfully not as annoying as Metroid 1 or Pokemon or various other games. Zelda. In fact, at first I thought it was part of the background music. There's a doorway over here, by the way, but I'm not sure where it goes, because the guide never leads you here. Because the guide I'm using is a essentially typed-out version of the actual strategy guides you could have found back in '91. Not that you need a strategy guide for this, because, like I said earlier, this is probably one of the more linear Metroid games, Other M and Fusion aside. In fact, I still think Fusion... No, not Fusion, Other M's the most linear Metroid game. Not that I have a problem with that, though, because I rather like Other M. In fact, actually, seeing me getting hurt all the time here is one thing I will mention. Being low on energy in this game, if you're new to it, is very easy to do. Because some of these enemies are a bit small and hard to hit. Once we get the next beam upgrade, though, that'll be much less of a problem. Let's see, 14 minutes. Where would I be in Metroid Zero Mission at this point? I would be in... probably Kraid's Lair. Or, actually, no, I'd probably be in, the second visit to Norfair. Luckily, all the areas in this game are rather small, all things considered, so it shouldn't be too hard for you to find any Metroid shells or Metroids themselves. Yeah, wow, I just do not have much to say about this game. Sorry about that. Like I said, I'll probably have some more to talk about later on, because stuff. Although, because, like, next part, I do want to bring mention to a certain fan iteration that might be happening at this very moment, with little fan project that might be happening. I'm losing my grip over the English language. No! A little fan project that might have been going on for the past couple of years that's somewhat near completion, all things considered. Also, I gotta say, Samus's running animation in this looks really awkward. It's not like certain other Metroid games where she looks like she's flapping her arms like in a jogging style where you're going, like, flapping your arms, like, towards your head, towards your side, towards your head, towards your side. She looks like she's walking like a chicken. I don't really know how to describe it without a visual representation, actually. Oh well. This is probably one of the most boring parts of a Let's Play I've ever done for you guys. I apologize for that. But I wanted to get this game out of the way pretty much now because... meh. And another Alpha Metroid. And that's with that, 36 left to go. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry if this has been a particular boring part, but I don't have much to say about this game yet. And next time Let's Play Metroid 2 Return to Samus, we'll be continuing on in this area, killing the last Metroid that's in it, and progressing onwards. And once we reach the next room, I'll see you guys then.